Hello, everyone. Welcome to MEDENT Minutes, the podcast that explores EHR optimization and how practices can excel in value-based care. I'm Megan Chapman, the Director of Marketing and Communications here at MEDENT, and today we are speaking with N-Krypt's President and CEO, Asif Choksi, and we're going to be talking about how MEDENT clients can benefit from advanced email encryption, both within their practice and their MEDENT system. So Asif, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Megan, for having us.
We just wanted to start with, can you tell me a little bit about N-Krypt and what you do there?
Sure, absolutely. So we're what I would call a boutique cybersecurity company. We deal specifically with advanced email encryption solutions. The majority of our work is within healthcare. We also do some other things as well, but in terms of security assessments, risk assessments, HIPAA security reviews, pen testing, things of that nature. And we're excited to be in healthcare, which right now it's obviously a pretty demanding time with all of the things we're seeing in the cybersecurity realm of things as it pertains to healthcare. And we're excited to be working with MEDENT as well.
Yes, and so let's talk a little bit about email encryption in healthcare. Why is it so important?
Great question. So there's actually two reasons why email encryption is super relevant for healthcare. One is being around the area of compliance, obviously with HIPAA high tech. And the second area really is around being able to create best practices for your organization. So from a compliance perspective, we all kind of have heard in the healthcare realm, something called HIPAA high tech, helps to kind of mandate and highlight a bunch of different compliance regulations that we all have to adhere to if you're dealing within healthcare. And one of those issues that that we focus on is how do you transmit PHI data. Right now under HIPAA high tech, you're not supposed to be sending any PHI data unless it's secure and encrypted. And if you are caught or audited or whistleblowed in doing something, it could be anywhere up to a $50,000 fine per occurrence if that ever happens. So we help to obviously combat that component of things. But the other area really is around being able to create best practices for your organization, especially when you start looking at the forward momentum of healthcare in general. We've all heard of something called the 21st Century Cures Act. And one of the things that helps to promote is the exchange of PHI data, whether it be from your provider, your hospital, whoever healthcare agency you may be dealing with. If you want to be able to own and have the ability to transmit that data that you have that belongs to you, then as a healthcare practice, you have to ensure that you have the rules and the processes in place to be able to achieve those things. And that's where we think technology and email encryption in particular can actually be an advantage for healthcare organizations, being able to deal and battle with some of the old myths in terms of what email encryption has typically meant for organizations. And I'd be happy to kind of go through some of those myths that we've been seeing in the industry, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to hear what those are.
Perfect. So, we've all it's kind of ironic because in trying to promote email encryption, we're going against this myth of the fact that, we just don't use email within our offices. It's just things that we don't do within healthcare. But, the reality is it's a kind of a dirty secret to essentially admit the fact that we are doing some sort of communication within organizations, whether it be with texting between provider and the nurses, or just emailing stuff that really you shouldn't be emailing stuff, in terms of the type of data that you're sending out. And so the reality is we all are kind of doing it anyways. So why not use technology to help protect yourself and in other ways be able to help you save costs and resources along the way. Some of those other myths that we've been seeing is the fact that, they'll say, hey, we're already faxing, and we already have a secure fax solution. Well, as you start to kind of really look into what does that really mean to be secure fax, then you start to realize that it's more of a marketing term than it really is from a security standpoint. Also, the ability to be able to, just having that myth of, hey, I just can't do it at all. Our office just does not allow us to do any communication. Well, we all know that's not really a good go-forward plan in terms of things and regulations that are kind of popping up, especially with the 21st Century Securities Act. So to be able to, to be stagnant isn't really a solution. You kind of still have to look at some opportunities to be able to help improve how your business works and how your business actually operates. And then the other thing we've been hearing a lot about is, and hearing from a lot of customers is, we already have secure email. We have Gmail, it's already secure. We have Office 365, it's already secure. But again, we recommend you really have to get into the details of that process to really understand, is it really encrypted? Is it really as secure as you think it is? And ensure that people have a good understanding of what it all really entails. And so, in summary, technology really is supposed to be something that's designed to help an organization. It's not in any way supposed to be a barrier in terms of making work harder for you. And if it is, and if it's doing that today, then really you need to look at other options to ensure and try to figure out, what's the best way to help save time and costs within your practices.
Yes, and I was going to ask, what makes N-Krypt different from its competitors? And you also mentioned, that in some cases, email encryption can be viewed as somewhat of a barrier, either for the recipients or the senders or both. And I'm just curious, so what does N-Krypt do to stand out from its competitors and also to kind of relieve that barrier and promote its ease of use for both senders and recipients?
Great question. So the name of our platform, or the platform that we bring to the market, is called Send It Secure. And, obviously there are a lot of, great solutions out there in terms of email encryption, but we do think we bring essentially a different value set when it comes to healthcare. First off, with every encrypted email that you send out, you don't have to change your email addresses. You continue to do what you're doing today. Whether you're still stuck on your free Yahoo accounts or your Gmail accounts, heck, even your AOL accounts, we can still encrypt those environments without you having to do anything different. However, for every secure email that you do send out, you now have not only multiple layers of encryption and security as part of it, which is super simple and easy to send and to receive from a recipient's perspective, but you also now have a lot of other features that you just don't normally get with regular email. For example, things like real-time tracking and audit trail. Every secure email that gets sent out, you're able to determine and track in real time if the patient actually looked at it, did they try to look at it, did they reply to it, did they forward it to someone else, did they print it, and or if you sent any attachments, did they preview or download any of those attachments. And we don't just track the first event, we track every event, which now all of a sudden provides so much more intel to an organization. It's no longer someone having to call up another office or an agency or a patient to say, hey, look, did you get the fax or the email we sent out to you about a week ago? It's now a completely different line of questioning. And all you got the encrypted email we sent out to you 2 days ago. You looked at it 3 times. You even forwarded it to one of your colleagues. What can we do to help push this along? So in a very subtle way, you've created accountability, both inside and outside the organization. And that's just one example of how Send It Secure becomes really relevant for a healthcare environment. Other things that you also get is expiration. So if you want to limit how long a secure email or content is available for, you can absolutely do that. You can do gigabit file size delivery, no more file size limits whenever you're sending out an encrypted email. Unlike other solutions or even regular email, where you may be limited to 25 megs or 50 megs, in our environment, you can go up to 5 gigs per message, which in English is about 5,000 megabytes. So if you need to send out MRIs, CT scans, large PDF documents, Whatever that file happens to be, you can now send it in real time, encrypted, without having to do anything extra to whatever email address on the planet you want to send it to. And from a recipient standpoint, they have no issues to be able to open, review it, even respond to it if they needed to. And that's what helps to lead to some of the cost savings, because now you can cut down on your monthly faxing costs, your mailing costs, your courier costs, and even your printing costs, because now you can send everything electronically in its native format to the intended person using nothing else but your email address to do so. And of course, the ability to integrate within EMR systems, such as MEDENT, is a huge boon for healthcare users, because now you're able to save yourself 5 or 6 clicks, just send everything directly through the interface. And then the feature that people tend to like the most when it comes to our environment is the ability to do what's called true message recall or revoke. True message recall is literally what it sounds like. There are no limitations. It works exactly the way that you would expect it to. Login does not matter which email address you've sent it to. Also does not matter if the person has already opened and viewed the message. If you, as a sender, choose to recall, you can recall it in real time without having to do anything extra. And the great thing is that in those scenarios where you have to report a data breach because of something you've sent out to the wrong person or the wrong group, you now have some additional security layers available at your fingertips. And not only do we track IP addresses, geolocations, the type of devices that you're using, you just have so much more intel around everything that gets sent out, and it's all available to the sender. That's the best part about this. Don't have to contact someone in IT or an administrator to really go through this whole process. It's just being able to have more power with your emails to be able to communicate and be able to effectively and securely distribute PHI data.
Great. And my other question, actually, as we're talking about this, is, you can feel confident in that security aspect, and just can you talk a little bit more about that boost in confidence? I know sometimes, IT companies will, stress the idea of phishing emails, and you get these spam emails that might seem like, oh, we have a secure message for you, click here kind of thing. And people might be hesitant about, clicking within an email and things like that. What does N-Krypt do to kind of boost that confidence where, like you said, you no longer have to really reach out to a sender to say, hey, did you really send us an email? Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually a great question. So, overall, threats in healthcare is, only getting worse, to be completely honest. And just as kind of a big umbrella subject here, obviously every year every 6 months, we're always hearing about some sort of data breach, some sort of event that's occurred within healthcare. And that's because the value of PHI data is so high. And there are also other factors that we have to take a look at as well. So obviously the last big one that we've been dealing with is the stuff with Change Healthcare, with United Healthcare. And we've seen what that has done to us in the industry, in the sense that you're just not being able to get paid on time, all the time wastage that we've all had to go through, and to ensure that we can still keep the doors open while Change Healthcare is trying to suffer and get themselves back on their feet in terms of their ransomware attack that they went through. The problem with healthcare in general is the fact that because a ransom was paid, it only puts a bigger target on everyone else in healthcare. What happens is when you pay a ransom, it effectively incentivizes the hackers, regardless of where they're coming from, to say, hey, you know what? If it worked with them, why can't it work with our mom and pop shop? And to take the adage of, or the notion that, hey, I'm just too small, they're not going to target me. Well, the reality is you probably have less security than some of the bigger guys. And if you have less security, it means you're probably are a bigger target. And so you really have to be susceptible. And obviously, training is an integral part of any security policy. But ensuring that you're not clicking on threats such as phishing and spoofing emails, you want to make sure that you are essentially confident in terms of how you're operating. What we do that's very different is in our environment, we are essentially a closed network. Yes, you do continue to use your existing email environment. And of course, you ensure, and we obviously would still recommend that you have proper endpoint security put in place to ensure that you've got protection not only for end users, but also your organization overall. But all of our networks are completely branded to the organization, so you have a bit more of a professional look, professional image when you're sending stuff out, and to ensure you have that little bit of confidence in terms of how things are being sent out and when people are actually clicking on links. What we also do that's different is we include 24/7 customer support. Every single network that we operate comes with 24/7 support that not only provides an organization with the help that they need when they need it, but that same level of support is also extended to the recipients as well. And so, yes, you've heard me correctly, we support our customers' recipients to ensure that our customers are able to deal with the things that are more important on a day-to-day basis, while our team helps and assists to deal with any tech support or just inquiries in terms of what are they clicking, how do they access a message, how do they respond to a message, which really it's all based on webmail, but of course you've got some security functionality built into it as well. And so we find that that combination really helps because it provides a level of confidence to the end user to ensure that, hey, if I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm clicking on, who can I speak to or who can I reach out to help get that guidance to ensure that what they're clicking on is actually legitimate.
Yeah. And then we did talk, you touched a little bit about the security threats in healthcare. So can you just expand on that? What are some of the latest threats practices should know about?
Sure. So, listen, ransomware is kind of the flavor for the past while, and that's essentially clicking on something that you probably shouldn't have. Now a hacker's got inside your environment. I can't remember what the exact breach level is in terms of actually being infiltrated, but the last I remember was around 280, 285 days. In other words, that's how long it takes for an organization to recognize that they were actually breached.
Oh my goodness.
And so the way that hackers operate is that when they're able to get inside your environment, they don't react right away. They essentially just kind of sit in the background and they listen. They put in a couple more backdoors in case one gets closed down. They put in their command control systems all around your desktop or your server or your environment to essentially just listen. And now that they're looking at traffic, they're listening at traffic, they're grabbing usernames, they're grabbing passwords, they're looking at what accounts and which users are more relevant, prevalent than others. And of course, they're able to have access to all that data point that they need to. And at some point, when they feel that it's most advantageous to them, or maybe just when you're up in the queue, they will go ahead and they'll trigger that ransomware attack. And there are so many threats that are out there. Megan, it's unfortunate in the sense that it does kind of keep us up at night because we've also been hearing a lot about AI and artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean for healthcare? Well, the truth is it will do a lot of good, but it will also do a lot of bad. It's about the people that control or have access to those technologies and what they will choose to do with those things. So the hackers will use AI to essentially, most benefit themselves in being able to figure out how to get inside organizations, how to get access to data points that effectively they will use until they get paid out on. And then from a good perspective or a positive perspective, Healthcare and AI obviously has a lot of upward trend in terms of just being able to provide better healthcare to patients, and what does that really all entail? So it's kind of a wild west at this point, and for any practices that have gone out to try to get cyber insurance, or those that have cyber insurance, they would, get a chuckle with this in the sense that, cyber insurance rates have only increased, if not double, triple, almost every other year because of the fact that there's just more organizations that are getting infiltrated. And insurance companies, unfortunately, they would rather pay the ransom or to effectively get your data back as quickly as possible, because the alternative is just too costly, or just isn't an option because of the amount of time that it would take for an organization to get back on their feet. So, it's kind of a rock and a hard place in terms of where you are. But definitely practices and organizations, it does not matter what size you are. If you're a single provider that works 2-3 times a week, or you're a multi-location environment, you have to make sure that you put in proper security policies, training, solutions in place to try to minimize those risks that will only get worse as we move forward.
Yeah, and from what I understand with N-Krypt, a big feature here that I think a lot of practices would find helpful is this real-time tracking and threat detection, which to me seems like a nice feature to safeguard against these data leaks.
Yeah, it's absolutely. The ability to be able to track what you're sending and who you're sending it to, and then just the ability to recall it. For whatever reason, maybe someone's no longer there anymore, or you really did send it to the wrong person. The ability to have multiple ways of how to send the encrypted email, which is another feature that we have as well, is we support a concept called message policies. And it's effectively the ability for you as a sender to pick and choose how the encrypted email will go out, is in itself a huge advantage. And then what's really exciting with us here at the office at N-Krypt is this collaboration that we're doing with MEDENT, because the ability to extend encrypted communications, not only for your office and your organization, but to also be able to do it within the MEDENT system, being able to send out office notes or office visit notes, test results, images, summaries, whatever it is that you need to send out, but now being able to do it securely, effectively with a click of a button, with real-time tracking and audit trail and large file size capability and the ability to recall it, and all in real time, is been such a productivity enhancement for users. And so far the feedback has been quite phenomenal. And we think it's a value proposition that is unequal in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just wanted to touch upon, you've mentioned in the past cost savings, and you've touched a little bit upon improving the workflows for the practice and, cutting down on clicks. So could you just explain how is that relevant for our customers here at MEDENT?
Oh, perfect. So, we have a cost calculator that we use for our healthcare clients. And what we've estimated, it's funny, when COVID happened, obviously it was disruption and chaos everywhere. From our perspective, what we found is a lot of new business was kind of put on hold for obvious reasons. People were kind of running around with their heads cut off and trying to figure out what was happening. But we found a lot of huge organic growth with existing customers, because you had a lot more remote users. You have to shift, you have to adapt, you have to figure out, how do we effectively still operate? And thankfully, we were able to help them, with those services. But one of the things that we found through that period of time is being able to survey and track with our existing customers in healthcare to say, hey, how are we able to help you? What is it that we're doing that's helping you out? And what we've found in collecting all of these different data points is that we're saving our customers on average of $50 to $100 a month per employee in terms of time savings and resource savings. And it's a combination of what we would call hard costs and soft costs. So if it's just the ability to help replace some of your faxing issues that you may be going through, the ability to save on some file sharing services, FTP servers, help desk costs that you have to go through, printing costs. Those are some of the hard costs that you have to go through. And then on the other side, you've got your soft costs where you're looking at the amount of productivity enhancements that you're able to achieve. Being able to do things with 1 click or 2 clicks versus 6 or 7 clicks that you normally would have to go through to get content out, and then to follow up and ensuring and having to pick up the phone to call another recipient or an outside party to say, hey, did you get the medical records? Were you able to open it? Oh, you only got half a fax, not the other one. Let me resend it. Did you get it? Did you not get it? Having to deal with direct messaging and some of the pitfalls that brings to the table. It all adds up. And, and that obviously time is money. And as it is, healthcare is, there's just not enough hours in a day in terms of the things that you want to be able to achieve and accomplish. So being able to use technology in an effective way, in a secure way that will immediately help to improve your cybersecurity posture, but at the same time help you save time, valuable clicks, valuable time of in terms of follow-ups to ensure that the content you're getting sent out is being sent out properly and received properly, and heck, you got the support there when you need it. These things collectively just brings a completely different value proposition to the table. And, there will be times where, as we may be talking to a customer and they just don't believe the numbers. They're like, no, it's too much. It doesn't make any sense. So no problem. Even if it's half, even if it's a quarter of what you think that cost savings happens to be, it's just still not worth your time in terms of what you're able to accomplish. If it can save 2 hours a month or 3 hours a month in terms of your processing time, is that in itself not an advantage for your organization?
Great. And I think my last question here is just, can you just talk a little bit more about the integration with MEDENT? Is this something that's available to clients now? Is this something that we are, currently have in programming? I just wanted to kind of get the record straight and see where we are with our partnership right now with N-Krypt.
Yeah, perfect. So we have 2 integration tracks that we have with MEDENT. One is available already. Right out of the box. We have what's called a secure print driver that integrates directly within MEDENT. And effectively, it's the ability for you as a user within MEDENT, when you're looking at trying to send a document out or multiple documents out, just as you would go to your print option and select a printer to get something out on paper, we would get you to effectively just choose our printer. And that would then take your documents, convert them into a PDF, and then automatically upload them into encrypted email, waiting for you to decide who do you want to send it to, the subject header, and the body of the message, of course, with tracking, large file size delivery, and the ability to recall it, message expiration, all that stuff built into it. The next phase of integration that we're doing is what's called API integration. From a layman's term, it's essentially putting a button directly within MEDENT. And it would make it one step easier to be able to send PHI data directly out of MEDENT. And that development has been going great so far. And we're quite excited when that does roll out, because it'll just be another way and an easier way to effectively be able to send content directly out of MEDENT. But today, it works directly out of the box. We've got a bunch of MEDENT customers on it already, and it works absolutely great. And so, there are no hindrances or barriers to get people to use it right now. And of course, take even further advantage of it once that API integration gets put in.
Yeah, essentially just save fewer clicks, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is exciting. And I know I do want to mention that we have a webinar that's going to be coming up with you guys. You're going to be doing a live demonstration for us on August 21st. Can you just, that's the last thing, and then I'll let you go, but can you just talk a little bit about what folks can expect in this webinar that we're going to be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, it'll be a quick it'll be a web demo to kind of talk about email encryption. You'll get kind of the visual aid as an advantage, so you can see how easy it is to send out an encrypted email, how to receive an encrypted email, all the features that come as part of the solution, and of course how it works within MEDENT as well. So the ability to use it within MEDENT, and we'll go through a couple of test runs so you can see the different use cases. There will be a Q&A section as well, so for folks that are able to join in, if you have any specific questions or just something in general, we'll be able to answer those questions in real time. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're quite excited to be able to show folks what the platform does, how it works really well within MEDENT to provide an additional value proposition. And the ones that we're really looking forward to are talking to the ones that are already using an existing solution, because we find those ones tend to be our best customers. We don't have to go through the education portion of why to use email encryption. They're already using something. We just want to be able to show them something that may work better for them. And so we're looking really forward to that webinar coming up.
Fantastic. So are we. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, we can't wait for that webinar. So hopefully we can get a lot of folks registered. For those who are interested, you can always go to our website, medent.com/news/webinars, and that is where you will find the registration link for this webinar. And again, Asif, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, we can't wait to explore more of N-Krypt here at MEDENT.
Thanks, Megan. Appreciate it.